This is Alexander Playtime Williams of PlayTimeCares.com. What's up, world? This is Alexander Playtime Williams of PlayTimeCares.com. Doing my SmackDown recap. This SmackDown took place January 25th, 2015, and it took place in Toledo, Ohio. Surprising commentators. You had the normal cast of characters, Tom Phillips and Jerry the King Lawler, but they stated Byron Saxton actually was helping out with the Tough Enough campaign. So Jimmy Uso was actually doing guest commentary today. Interesting to hear him on a microphone. You know, he chimed in a lot more than Byron Saxton did at some points. But this SmackDown, it started off with a recap of the Raw unfolding of Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins getting the help from the Authority. So essentially, it was a recap of the Authority joining forces again. And then Seth Rollins, Kane, and Joey Mercury of J&J Security headed down to the ring. Rollins, he pretty much said that the Authority is back, and they went to Suplex City and they burnt that MF down. I don't think he actually said MF. Then they let everybody know that Jamie Noble actually suffered 3 broken ribs from Brock Lesnar fighting back from them on Raw. So that's why J&J Security wasn't full force. Jamie Noble is injured. So Kane says that attacking Authority will have consequences. And then they did a Raw recap of Ryback attacking the Big Show, which when you look at the footage, Big Show was interrupted his interview, but Ryback definitely did throw the first lick. So technically they was right about that. And they said that the Big Show wasn't there, but Ryback was going to still have consequences, so you need to come down to the ring. So, Ryback came to the ring, and they told him to explain his actions, and Ryback pretty much said that, the Big Show wasn't being respectful towards him, so he had to show him that he was about business. And Seth Rollins pretty much told Ryback that he needed to use him as an example to show him what a real champion looks like and should behave. And Ryback pretty much told Rollins that he isn't a real champion and that he's what he called him, overprotect gutless child. And the crowd interrupted about that. So Kane said that Ryback had a match against him tonight, and Rollins said that he was actually going to face Dean Ambrose one-on-one tonight to prove to everybody that it wasn't a fluke, that he won at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So your first match of the night was actually Dolph Ziggler with Lana versus Sheamus, and it was decent action. Shortly into the match, Rusev came down with a mic pretty much begging Lana to come back, saying, he'll kiss her right and all that type of stuff. And Lana just turned her back on her, just walked away. And they had a lot of high-risk moves in this match. It was a decent match. The crowd was into it. And Sheamus got a pretty hard-fought win, on a pretty decent match. But the match was still about a 7 out of 10. Then they showed Rusev in the back, and, he having another meltdown. And Summer Rae walks up again and tell him, Lana not worth it, then walks off. And then they did a Raw recap of Seth Rollins breaking up the Shield from last summer. And, people always like to see that footage. That was a pivotal moment in WWE history. And the next thing they had was a Divas match. You had Alicia Fox with the Bella Twins against Naomi, who had Tamina in her corner. And that actually was a really good match. It was, great action. And Naomi and Alicia Fox, they actually showed off a lot of in-ring ability. I love when they actually allow the women to actually wrestle and not just be eye candy that do a move and then pose. I hate that. They actually was doing a lot of good stuff against each other. They had great in-ring skill. Tamina and Naomi actually ended up beating up the Bellas outside of the ring, and then Naomi tried to get back in the ring, and Alicia did a really cool finisher on her and actually ended up picking up the win on an unfocused Naomi. So that match was actually about an 8 out of 10. Then they did a Money in the Bank recap, a John Cena and a Kevin Owens match. Then they did a Raw recap of Kevin Owens doing his, powerbomb on Machine Gun Kelly. And then that was 2 weeks ago. Then they did a recap of Kevin Owens telling Cena he need to put that U.S. title up on the line, and Cena agreeing from Raw a week ago. And JoJo, she interviewed the New Day and was just asking them about their recent, string of unfortunate luck, as you would call it. New Day is like, nah, stop concentrating on the negative. We're positive that with in the upcoming pay-per-view Payback, we're gonna have there's gonna be sort of a new luck and good luck. And then the primetime players pretty much interrupted that interview and let them know, well, look, we don't care what you're saying, but it's three of y'all and it's two of us, so y'all need to pick out who the weak link is and then come wrestle us. And which could be a mind game if the WWE writers actually work at that angle. And Bo Dallas came out and said, "Hey, don't worry about the primetime players. I asked the authority if we can wrestle." So it'd be a 4-man against the primetime players and whoever they choose to pick up. So it sounded like a really good idea on paper. Um, then the next match was actually Kane versus Ryback. Ryback was coming to the ring. And he gets attacked by the Big Show from behind, which they said the Big Show wasn't there, but of course they lied about that. And the Big Show worked him real good. Then he tossed him in the ring, and the match started. Ryback fought back as well as he could after getting pummeled like that. But all in all, they didn't even really want the match. The Big Show just came in there and pretty much just started brutalizing Ryback. Ryback wins by disqualification, but he had to eat 2 choke slams at the end and just stayed down. The match was about a 7 out of 10. Ryback won via DQ. Then they did Elimination Chamber pay-per-view recap between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. And then they did a Tough Enough Elimination Chamber recap. And that looks like that show is really, really good. Go ahead and get that on the WWE Network. And they let you decide who gets sent home. Download that Tough Enough app. Then you had the 8-man tag team match, New Day with Bo Dallas versus primetime players, and who were the Lucha Dragon. So the crowd was excited about that. Crowd really got into the New Day suck chants. It was good action, showcasing again why a cruiserweight division would be really awesome in the WWE. The primetime players and the Lucha Dragon actually ended up picking up a really entertaining win. That match was about an 8 out of 10. You had a Raw recap of Roman Reigns and a Bray Wyatt situation they encounter. And you go to the back, and Ambrose is telling Reigns, we need to go from door to door and go find Bray Wyatt and just whoop him. He messed with me in the past. Now he messing with you. We need to just go ahead and squash this. Roman Reigns is like, nah, man, we need to concentrate on the match. I'm going to have your back during your match because authority, they back, they strong. Just concentrate on just winning. And Roman Reigns went to put on this little flak jacket and had a picture of Roman Reigns in there that said, what that is, anybody but you with the eyes cut out and the mouth cut up. So he was like, oh, the hell with this. I'm going to find this dude. So he go in and he opening up every door and he asking the people, hey, man, where Bray Wyatt at? And, Kane was like, say, man, you can't go flying off the handle. I'm kicking you out the arena. You banned. So he kicked him out. And then, of course, it's Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins at that point. And Seth Rollins going to have the remaining members of the Authority. Well, Kane and Jamie Noble, at least, they went to the ring. And, Joey Mercury, Jamie Noble is injured. They went to the ring and they did a Money in the Bank recap between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And then they did a Raw recap of Rollins and Brock Lesnar situation so they can show why Jamie Noble wasn't there. And it was a decent match that actually got better as the match progressed. And Ambrose, he looked like he kind of was retweaking that knee. He favored that knee the entire match. But well-placed interference from Kane and Joey Mercury pretty much sealed the win for Seth Rollins after he got that pedigree on Dean Ambrose. And it was an entertaining match, about 8 out of 10. Follow me on everything. It's always PlayTimeCares.com. You can donate to the cause, whatever. Hey, Tell me what you think of the stuff I'm saying, especially if I'm predicting wrong. I love the feedback.